Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ontario Cryptids. First, I would like to wish you all a happy Halloween, given today is October 31st. Given the season, I have mixed up today's encounter stories just a little bit. They are not too scary, but just right for the occasion. So let's get to them. I will be sharing 3 stories today, and 2 are fresh off of Reddit. As you know, I'm always looking for great stories to be shared on this channel. So if you have a story that you would like to share in a safe environment, then forward your encounter stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. Now go grab yourself a beverage and get cozy under couch or chair and sit back and relax. Okay, so the first story takes place in 2012-2013. It takes place in Hennepin County, Minnesota, in the city of Minneapolis. So this happened years ago. I can't remember exactly, but I was in late elementary school, so probably about 9 years ago. My sister is 2 years younger than me and has always been sensitive to spirits around her. She would mention seeing a lot of people in the cemeteries as we drive past, and even today she still will mention in passing that there is a spirit around. Anyway, one day my sister started talking about how there was a little boy in her room, and he would stand in the corner by her dresser watching her sleep. Never said or did anything, just stood there. My little sister was used to seeing spirits at this point, so it wasn't uncommon or scary, but eventually they would leave. But this little boy wasn't going away, and she was beginning to feel scared, as he was always there. My mom is a firm believer in everything supernatural, so she went to a psychic who told her my sister was in fact seeing a young boy who lived on the farm my neighborhood was built on. She couldn't tell us the boy's name or how he died, only that he lived and died on the property. Also, something else that will become important later. My house is not super old. It was built in 87, and we know the previous owners, and we know for sure nobody's died in our exact house. My sister continued to see this boy and would describe him in great details, down to the clothes that he was wearing. She said that they looked like farmers' clothes from the early 20th century, overalls and a white undershirt. My mom finally had enough, and we went to the Heritage Center to see if maybe we could find a picture of him if he was from the area. As we were walking through looking at the old pictures of school children, my sister stopped in her tracks. "That's him! His name is James!" We all stopped to look, and sure enough, he was wearing the exact clothes my sister had described to us. The medium had told my mom that the little boy's family was waiting for him alongside his dog. That night, my mom went into my sister's room and closed the door. My sister was too scared to talk to James by herself, so she told him, "Go to the light, James. Your parents and dog are waiting for you. You don't have to be scared." My sister never saw him again after that. This story takes place in the fall of 2015. It takes place in Washington, D.C., in the neighborhood called Cleveland Park. In honor of Halloween, I thought I'd type up this story from 2015 and share it here. It's long, but I promise it will all connect. Halloween that year was on a Saturday night. Last minute, I decided to attend a friend's board game themed party. I drew a Ouija board on an old white t-shirt with a Sharpie. It turned out great. And I had a nice time at the party. The next day was Sunday, November the 1st. I had a typical Sunday hangover. I left the costume on the floor in a pile of laundry that I was too lazy to pick up. I'm in bed that night with my dog, and her eye starts swelling up out of nowhere. Like it was huge and she couldn't see. Her whole face was swelling. I panic and rush out to take her to the emergency vet. I go to get her out of the car, except when I do, all this swelling is gone and she's completely fine. Being young and poor at the time, I decided to skip the emergency vet and went back home since my dog seemed completely normal. We get back in bed, and a couple of minutes later, my dog's face starts doing the same thing again, just swelling up out of nowhere. I rush her back to the emergency vet, and this time, even though the swelling disappeared again, I decide to admit her to the vet to get her checked out. They run tests and give fluids and check for insect bites, but nothing showed up. She was completely fine. We go back home, and it's late. I pass out, and so does my dog. No more face swelling. Cut to 3:30 a.m. I wake up, and my dog is sitting at the edge of my bed, staring at the wall where my closet is, and doing a low growl. I look in the direction of the closet, and the door is open, and inside the closet, I see this dark black-gray misty thing furiously clawing at my clothes on the hanger and making them swing back and forth. Terrified, I couldn't find my voice to scream, so I just lifted my hands in the air and slammed them down on the comforter to scare it away. It turned and looked at me. It didn't really have a face, though. It just looked like a hooded black hole, and then it vanished through the back wall of the closet. I didn't know how to process it. I thought I was seeing shit, so I just sat there motionless, wrapped as tightly as possible in my comforter until it was light out. I burned the Ouija costume the next day and smudged some sage just to be safe. That apartment was in a building built in the early 1900s, and I saw lots of ghosts after that. Every 6 months or so, I would wake up always between 3 to 4 in the morning and see a figure in my room. All of the other ones I saw were mere neutrals in terms of their energy. They were whiter and mistier, and had faces and weren't dark and faceless like the first one. I would ask them, please leave me alone, and they would disappear, pretty harmless. I still don't quite know if what I saw was real or just my mind playing tricks on me late at night. The one part that makes me think it was real was my dog's face swelling. I FaceTimed my mom that night, and she saw my dog's face and told me to go to the vet, so I didn't imagine that. But was that the demons attacking my dog or just a coincidence? I'm a rational person, but I swear that Ouija costume opened up some sort of portal in that bedroom. Epilogue. I have since moved to another state and live in a brand new building. Haven't seen anything since moving here. Okay, so this is the last story of the day, and this one takes place late June or early July of 1976, and it takes place in St. Louis County, Minnesota, and the nearest town is Brimson. I'm not prone to exaggeration. My father is a naturalist. I've spent an enormous amount of time in a remote wilderness, beginning when I was a 4-year-old and continuing to the present. I have worked professionally as an adult as a park ranger and a game warden in East Africa. At the time of the event, I was already personally experienced with bears, moose, deer, and once a cougar. Since then, I've worked around big game, and 7 kinds of primates, including mountain gorillas and chimpanzees. The old Finnish farmhouse itself was in St. Louis County, about 40 miles from Duluth to the northwest near Brimson, Minnesota. We reached the old homestead by way of a driveway that was heavily overgrown and at least a quarter of a mile long. To the north was a thickly wooded cedar swamp and stream that I've wandered in occasionally. These woods were part of the Superior National Forest. To the east and west were some old broken-down homestead buildings and fields gone wild, followed by more woods. To the south was a quarter-mile of thick woods to the road. The nearest neighbors were quite some distance away. I would guess half a mile or so. The main house was located to the northern end of a grassy clearing about 40 yards north-south and 60 yards east-west. A gravel drive with our cars parked on it came up from the south to within 20 yards of the house. About 15 yards to the southeast of the house was a tall telephone pole with a yard light mounted on it. My dad and I had set up a blue 2-man tent in this grassy clearing about 25 yards south of the house. It was night, and our friend's 3 children had gone up to the loft bedroom and were awake talking a bit. My dad and our hosts were downstairs talking at the north end of the house. I visited with the other kids for a while upstairs. I didn't want to go to bed out in the tent while everyone else was having a good time talking. Then I went downstairs and sat with the adults for a while. Around 10:30, Dad sent me off to bed. I went reluctantly. The moon was out and it was late, so I believe it was a partial moon. And if my memory serves, there were some clouds scudding across. Otherwise, it was clear, star-filled sky. The yard light put out a fair amount of light so that I could see my way to the tent easily. The front of the tent faced the house, and thus the yard light as well. I opened the tent, got in, and zipped up the mosquito net closed. I took my pants and shirt off, leaving my underwear on, and then I started to read a book without the aid of a flashlight. The light coming in was enough. After about 20 minutes, I was getting sleepy. I don't remember if I was still reading or not when I heard footsteps in the grass coming towards the tent. I sat up thinking Dad must be coming down to bed, but the steps were coming from my left. From the west, the house was north of me. The steps came nearer, quiet on the grass but unmistakable footsteps. Then, to my surprise, the shadow of 2 legs walking from left to right in front of the tent were cast on the tent fabric, and then the mosquito netting by the yard light. I saw the silhouette of the 2 legs from waist down as they passed. Whomever made them came very near as they passed within 10 feet from the tent. The steps moved off to the right a bit, perhaps 30 to 40 feet, where there was bush cover, and were silent. I called out, "Dad, is that you?" No answer. About this time, the hair on my back of my neck began to prickle, and a lump formed in my throat. My pulse was pounding. I was surprised at my sudden fear, but it had a hold of me, absolutely. I had thought it out in an instant. Why should I be afraid? No one here would hurt me, and we were far from any neighbors. "Dad, are you out there?" Not expecting a response. Then the footsteps began again, starting from where they stopped to my right and coming towards the tent again. I froze. I was particularly choking in fear. I thought something bad was going to happen. The shadow of the walking legs was again cast on the tent door, this time moving to the left. The footsteps moved off to the left a bit and were quiet. Were they gone, or were they waiting only a short distance away, waiting for me to do something? I don't know, They couldn't have gone far. I waited about 5 minutes trying to breathe silently, listening with every part of me. Then I couldn't stand it any longer. I pulled on my jeans, pulled open the zipper of the tent, and looking only straight ahead, bolted at top speed into the house, hollering alarm once inside. Dad and our friends were right where I left them. I told them what had happened, and they assured me that they had been there the whole time. They also said that none of the kids had been down from upstairs. I went upstairs and found the kids where I had left them in bed. Upon hearing what had happened, they swore they knew nothing about it. I believed them. I also believed the older folks. The parents tried to tell me it was an overactive imagination, or perhaps the moon casting the shadow of a cloud on the tent. The legs of my visitor were of a biped. They were large, tall. The stride, as I saw it, was smooth and steady. It was quite possibly a person, but what a person would be doing snooping around a remote farmstead miles away from any town in the middle of the night, quarter mile from even a road, I don't know. I noticed no smell at all. I decided to contribute this experience as being of possible interest after reading of another similar interloper sighting in the same rough area around the same year. I first wrote down my recollection of this event in 1984. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories today, and I hope they weren't too scary, since I know there are a few folks out there who are not that into the paranormal because it creeps them out. In any case, I truly enjoyed sharing these with you, and I wonder how many really scary costumes you guys are going to be seeing today, or will there be any Sasquatch or Bigfoot costumes? One thing for sure, I bet you there will be tons of Squid Game costumes. Okay, so if these stories reminded you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story on this channel. Thank you for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit that like button on your way out and smash that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Have yourself a great weekend. And I'm going to leave you with this quote from Oscar Wilde. A mask tells us more than a face. Happy Halloween, everyone, and we will see you all next week.